Gabe, how's it going? Good. Are you pumped? Are you ready? So Dean asked us up here to talk about a game that you guys recently released called Game of War. It's on iOS. But the interesting thing about it is the method by which you develop the game, which is to say that my understanding is that rather than do the traditional method of, okay, we'll put something together very quickly and we'll put it out there and see if people like it, and then if they like it, we'll invest more and more money into it, as has been the sort of traditional way when you can rapidly iterate on something as an iOS. You guys actually decided to spend a whole lot of time, a whole lot of money, a whole lot of people developing this game before you released it, which, I mean, in this kind of unpredictable environment, sounds a little crazy.
Yeah, I mean, we spent 19 months building the game with a team of 80 people. So it's definitely bigger than the majority of mobile games.
Yeah.
But we spent 9 months in test, it's 5 months in live beta. But it's an MMO on an absolute epic scale. It's not a mobile game. It's just talking about it as a mobile game kind of downplays what it is. It's a massive MMO. It's an MMO, a real true next generation MMO game.
Okay. And so, I mean, this sounds like a very risky strategy. So maybe you can talk a little bit about like the calculations that you made before deciding to get into this. Did you guys decide what was the chicken first or the egg first? As you think about like, we have a great idea for a game, we're going to devote massive resources to it, or was it like, let's devote massive resources to something and then let's find the best game for it?
It kind of spiraled.
Okay.
It didn't start out the way it ended up. We didn't plan on it being what it is, but it took a life of its own. And as we were making the game and adding features, we got to the point where we were able to build a backend system capable of handling around 500,000 concurrent players in a single real-time world, which is unparalleled. There's nothing in the video game industry like it. It's just a tremendous amount of people, and it's really, at this point, kind of limited by hardware. And when we built that, it kind of, everything fell out waterfall from that, which is, okay, we can potentially have 100,000 people playing together. What does that mean? And they can all see each other, interact with each other. What's going to happen if I come into the game and I'm in an area and most people are speaking Portuguese? I'm going to think it's a Portuguese game. Right? So our goal is to network the entire world into one real-time environment.
The entire world?
The entire world.
So Skynet, basically, is
yes.
what you're aiming for? Okay, all right.
Close. It's crazy. It's a big dream, but it's possible, and we're doing it right now. But it was a really long journey. Like I said, the translation services of it, we're translating 32 languages in real time, parallelized, all in like microseconds.
So that was your solution to the Portuguese problem?
Yeah, that came from, I was talking to my friends at CCP, Omar, the CEO, and I asked him, I said, hey, they have a big Russian community inside of EVE, and EVE Online is the closest thing to Game of War, and I said, what do you do about all the Russian players? And he just said nothing. It's just like real life. If you don't know English, you're screwed. And I said, well, that's not a. I thought maybe we can do something. And
yeah. So EVE Online is maybe more of a dog-eat-dog world than you wanted to.
No, her game is pretty hardcore.
Oh yeah. Okay.
Yeah, but parallelizing translation was one step. We had about 500 million lines of chat from our previous games, and we ran it through, and we found some really cool stuff like mobile actually gives you a huge boost for translation because of autocorrect. People don't realize this. Like on a keyboard, you don't have autocorrect. So what you see is that people tend to be able to spell correctly on mobile phones because their phone is spelling for them.
Yes.
Right. So you get some really nice translations, but what you don't get, people don't stop using like LOL and ASAP and spellings and all this lead speak, internet slang type of things. We ran into that problem and we decided to build a dictionary on top of the translation system that could translate slang, essentially. We do so we can, like if you type in ASAP and you have an English device and a French device, it will change on the server in microseconds as soon as possible, get that translated, and it comes out in perfect French over here.
Okay.
So once we built that system, we realized that that dictionary was much bigger than anything that we could build manually, so we built a mechanical Turk system inside of the game to have paid people virtual currencies.
No,
yeah.
Really?
people virtual currency inside the game to teach us words that we don't understand. So that has been surprisingly successful. The average person corrects about 8 words a day for us, which is allowing us to grow our dictionary of words that translation services don't understand. They don't understand. You send ASAP to Google, it doesn't know what it is, but we do. So these are all things that when you're trying to network everyone together into one real-time world, these are things that you just run into. There's no way we could have planned for that, but I'd like to think we're a pretty special company. We don't give up if we run into things like that. We want to solve this problem. We're pretty dedicated to solving this problem.
So basically the idea was really that like this has to be global. This can't be something that we roll out with one territory, and then if it does well, we kind of piecemeal out them on. You really want it to be like,
yes. I want everyone in the world to play together in the exact same game. That's the goal. Because what we find is that the experience, the people playing inside of it, it creates so much pressure on the people who want to be the stars inside of that system, the people who want to be the people who matter. The more characters, the features in our games are not features. We don't make features. Our features are the people who are playing the game. That's the feature. The character. I want special characters. I want people who talk about themselves in the third person, or a girl who flirts way too much, or a guy who wants to kill everybody. I want all of those people, and the more of those people I have, the more interesting the game becomes. So the game is trying to spread out and find everyone. Everyone who's like that. Anybody who wants to be involved around the world, it doesn't matter where they are. If you speak Russian, it's okay, you can talk to someone who speaks English. If you're that person who wants to start fights and you only speak Arabic, that's fine. People will pretty much understand what you're trying to do. So it's all about building that very dense network inside of that game. So translation is a big part of it because it wouldn't be possible without it. So it's, once again, but that's something we realize after we built the backend systems.
Right. So once you kind of got yourself into this project, were there any major challenges you didn't anticipate? Well, sure. But that were different than maybe a more traditional development cycle.
Yeah, I mean the game took a year longer than we thought it was going to.
Okay.
Mainly because we had no idea how big it was going to turn into. But every step we could, even just what we're going through today, like the amount of concurrency and what we're seeing right now is just mind-boggling. The average player plays 2 hours a day. We're just pretty much going the opposite of what everybody's saying way mobile is. Short sessions, snackable gameplay. I think all that's wrong. I don't think that's what people want at all. No. If you look at someone who uses a phone, they don't use their phone for a short amount of time in a day. People are on their phones all day long, except people are building apps where they're building apps to be used in a very short amount of time. So everybody collectively is building apps, and if you watch someone use a phone, they're just constantly switching apps. Switching apps. So you come to our app, you don't need to switch. There's still stuff to do. There's always more and more and more going on. There's more to do. So that's the difference. We're building real next-gen MMO experiences. Yeah.
I mean, so what is the difference in the design of the app if you're designing something that somebody is going to stay there and use, for a long time?
Oh, I mean, it's just there's so many. I had a designer start, and we had a session where we tried to break down the features in the game. It was a 4-hour session, and we weren't.
Yeah.
So it's PC level amount of things to do inside the game. It grows and grows and grows. The game changes as you play it. There's just more and more things to do. Like the very opposite of the loop kind of design that you see a lot in mobile gaming. It's closer to, like I said, PC MMO.
Right. We were talking backstage about your observations on slow tap games versus fast tap games. I thought that might be something good to throw in here.
Yeah, if you look at top grossing, there's nothing up there where you play quickly. Everything is you stare at it, you make a decision, and you tap, and then you stare even longer, and then you make another decision. So yeah, it's a different type of device. I mean, if you think about it, not everybody's good with their coordination. They move really slow. It's a touch screen. It's not tactile. So it makes sense that most of the games are very, very slow and very like decision-based type of
When we I first heard you speak at DICE, and you were squaring off against Eric Kaplan talking about consoles versus free-to-play model. So I'd love to, kind of circle back to that, because it's a couple of years ago now. Get your thoughts on I mean, because this is the Battle Royale edition of Games Week 2013. Maybe some of your thoughts on where that great battle is going.
Sure. I don't think the future in gaming is graphics, and we hear a lot about that. We hear about graphics. It's almost everything about graphics. But these things have been solved by really smart people, like Mark Rain, who's just up here, and guys at Unity. And I don't think that's where the blue ocean is in gaming. I think that these people are so specialized at this, they've been doing it for so long, that it's not really a differentiator anymore. Everybody's using Unity now, it's free. I think the next step is networking.
Yeah.
And console does not really work as well with networking as mobile and tablets do. Mm-hmm. Networking is something that video game developers ignore. Actually, they avoid it. They go out of their way to avoid solving networking problems. The things that they're ignoring are probably the types of things that startups should be working on. And,
okay.
If you look at even a first-person shooter, they play a lot like Quake, and that was 15 years ago.
Sure. Yeah.
They haven't really changed. So Game of War is a revolutionary step in online gaming. If you think about the potential of what it can be, it's kind of mind-boggling. We're still trying to wrap our heads around it every day, what exactly it is we're trying to do here. Right. We've got 60 customer service people around the world. We've got we have to translate every blog that we do. We have to do all of this work to try to get this thing working. And to me, this is the most valuable. We're learning the most valuable lessons in the video game industry right now. You've got worldwide distribution through app stores. Mm-hmm. You've got devices that are connected to the internet 24 hours a day. You've got an in-app purchase, so if they come in, they can potentially make a purchase. So you have this massive network of people. Mm-hmm. And if we can connect all the like-minded ones in that network together, then we'll probably have something pretty sustainable. So to me, that's the future. Is very highly niche, very focused games that, let's say you go after a vampire genre, right? You find out there's 10 million people that like vampires. You just make the best vampire game in the world that the world's ever seen, and distribute it across a 2 billion person network for free. Right. So when I look at console doesn't fit any of that. It just doesn't fit any of that. It's not networked very well. If we want to play console right now, we can't. We both have our phones with us.
Right.
It's
you have a PlayStation 3 in your back pocket.
Not yet. They're not networked very well. They don't sell that many of them. Not everybody has one. So if you want to make the world's best vampire game, console isn't the place to do it because you won't be able to get to all of the people that like vampires. So where I see things are going are these very highly focused games. So the risk with Game of War is, when we're building it, is like, let's make the best online real-time RTS ever made, just period, ever made. And if we do that, we'll be able to find all of the people who like RTS games, and they'll stick with us. Does that make sense?
I think so, yeah. Makes sense to me. We're going to throw this open to audience questions after I ask one last question, so go ahead and think of what you're going to ask. Yeah, so just wrap this all up, maybe tell everybody, where are you now on Game of War? Like, what part of the process are you in? What do you still have to do?
Like I said, we learn more every day because it's constantly evolving. It's growing pretty quickly. It's doing well on the business side of things, but we have to stay. More importantly, we have to stay ahead of the game because it's growing so big, and the users want so much stuff, and the game hasn't even really started yet.
Okay.
We're not on Android. We've got this big world that's kind of separated right now. That's about to change. It's just this massive thing that we have to put all of our energy into. So it's really all about evolving the game and keeping it interesting and growing it out and adjusting the game design to deal with millions of people playing together in one world is definitely challenging.
But you think that that's something that people need to be doing?
I think, absolutely, I do, because I think the important part of it is going to be connecting like-minded people. It's okay if you like RTSs and you're in Portugal and you don't have any other friends that like RTSs.
Right.
It's fine because you can have a friend in California that does. So that's what we do.
Yeah.
So that's exactly what we're trying to do, and I think that's where all the real value is.
Right. Do you have any questions? Yes, we have somebody in the back. We have a microphone coming towards you.
Hey, Gabe. We met before in your office a couple of months ago when I was still with Play. Just had a quick question. But one of the things I think which is so fascinating about your story is, I recently joined a venture fund as EIR, City Ventures. And when you talk to the venture people, when you're on the other side of the table, which is fascinating, right, is that typically investors are very gun shy about either investing in really new kind of games concepts or investing in game studios that have like really high upfront capex, and development costs. And I was just wondering, kind of, how did you manage the relationship with your investors, given that you've grown and you've built this pretty large team to focus on a single game, which is kind of like counterintuitive to the model that you tend to hear around here, which is kind of like small teams, build something fast, try it fast, fail fast, and try again.
Well, that's just not going to work. You've got Pulses and Dragons making, what, $150 million a month? Do you really think that teams are going to stay small? They're not. I mean, when Activision or these guys get a hold of this, finally get their heads around this, they're going to have 200 people on a team, 300 people on a team. It actually makes sense to spend 3 years on a game if it makes $150 million a month, right? It makes a lot of sense.
How did you convince your board and your investors to go along with that vision?
Well, we had a lot of traction. So we were the first free-to-play developers on iOS, right, in January 2009. We started in 2008. So we've been doing this a long time. We had a lot of traction, a lot of popular games, IMO, Original Gangsters, Galore. So we raised the money while those things were those were our focus. We just hit a point where we realized that that type of game isn't going to take us to the next level. But like I said, it didn't start off, I think we were a year late, right? It's kind of I think there's a martingale betting strategy where you double down on your losses until you win. You get caught in that, but yeah, Game War is something that's very, 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 very challenging. It could have easily turned into vaporware. So once you're in it, we had to finish it. We did, and we pulled it off.
More questions? Yes, right here in the middle.
Hey, Gabe, great talk. I'm curious to hear about how Game War is doing in Asia, because I know you're very keen on unifying kind of global audience.
Sure. So we translate in 32 languages in real time, right? But we're only going for like 70% accuracy on that. Then on the game side of the instructional text, we've only localized in 6 languages. We're adding more. I think we're number 2 in Singapore, so we have a good start there. But we're not in Asia yet, and we will be soon.
We are out of time again, thus proving that I'm a terrible moderator. Thank you all very much. Gabe, thank you for being here.
What's that? Environment. I want to remind everybody to